And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Coach Osovet Show, the season finale of the Coach Osovet Show. I, of course, am your host, Ralph Garcia. We'll be joined by my co-host and the coach in just a second, but of course, everybody knows you know where to go. That's www.ngscsports.com. All of your current content, the shows, hey, I love the comments lately out there from everybody. We do appreciate that. Remember, of course, that a lot of stuff has been going on throughout the years, and one of the things that we've been able to do through this year that we've had the absolute pleasure of doing, of course, is calling some of the games for Nassau Community College football. And we are here now at the end of the season, and before we get to the star of the show, of course, we will go to the other star of the show. My co-host, my friend, John Doucette. John, welcome.
Ralph, as always, good to be with you.
And of course, as I said just a second ago, the star of the show just finished the season at Nassau Community College, head coach Joe Osovet. Coach, what's up?
How you guys doing?
Wonderful, wonderful. Coach, of course, here it is, the end of the season. And as you told us last week, I was very curious last week as to the way the program, as you've explained to us all season long about how coaching is where you are in JUCO football and the turnover rate. You don't know who you're going to have, who's going to stay. And I wondered last week if that was going to alter the game plan, if it was going to make you look elsewhere, maybe play some other guys. And you flat out told me without hesitation no. And the game started a little slow, Coach, but a couple of turnovers. And turnovers always, as we know, is a killer. But this time the turnovers were on the other side, the other team. They helped out. You guys finally got started, Coach.
Yeah, the defense, came out, and we only had one possession in the first quarter. The defense, scored some points for us, and as they've done all year, played a hell of a football game for us. So, and then that got us going offensively in the second and third quarter, and we started to go from there. But hats off goes to the defensive staff, Coach Kroll and all his guys. They did a hell of a job all year long, and they continued to do that on Saturday. So it was a good win for us. We were able to finish out the season on a high note, and it looks good for the program moving forward.
And Coach, as I said, it started off at the just under 7 minutes. Brian Campbell picked off a pass, returned it 62 yards for a touchdown. What happened on that play?
He got beat on it was about 4 snaps prior to that on the same type of play, a little tight end stick route, and they came back to it, the same formation, same set, and he did a great job and anticipated the throw and took it to the house. So it was a good job on him making the corrections that need to be made from him getting hurt on it the first time, and then being able to make a play for us and come up big and being able to score his first college touchdown for Brian. So it was a good deal for him.
And then, of course, as you opened the show telling us how it was a great, defensive effort, you guys go ahead and kick it off like you're supposed to after a touchdown, and oops, a fumble, I guess is what it says here. Ali Musa returns 144 yards, so the defense comes through again. What happened there?
Yeah, it was a third down play. It was third and long, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. And we just came off the edge like he's done all year, and he really had an exceptional game. As a matter of fact, he was the Northeast Football Conference Defensive Player of the Week. And he beat the tackle and beat the tackle from the quarterback's blind side and got it stripped and scooped and scored. So it was another great performance by Ali Musa, and that gave us 14 points right off the get-go in the first quarter. Like I said, with the offense just having to play one possession, but the defense played real well, and they set the tone for the entire game with their performance in the first quarter on Saturday.
Yeah, that's got to be real sweet for the offense. You say one possession in the first quarter, and they're out there on that sideline, and they finally get to come and bring some heat, and you're already up 14-0. And, Coach, I've been talking to you all year. It's not just about the good. It's always about the bad. It's always a pleasure talking with you because you're the kind of coaches you've shown us and all the listeners out there. When it's good, and you talk about the good. But when it's bad, you take it, you realize it, and you accept it. And one of the things that I've gotten on you about all year long, Coach, was the penalties. And, on this day, you guys only had, I believe it was 5 penalties, Coach. That's a great improvement there.
Yeah, well, we spoke about it. ASA and Nassau has been a rivalry, God, since the inception of ASA's program. I mean, they're a physical football team, and we didn't, we spoke to the kids on Monday and Friday of not allowing the game to get away from us with regards to having dumb penalties that put us behind the sticks or gave them extra possessions or extra first downs that didn't need to assist them in driving the football. And ASA really, didn't do a good job of keeping their temper under wraps, and we did a great job at it. And that's credit to our kids and credit to the coaches that we were able to play a headsy game and do our talking between the whistles. So it was a good deal on our part.
John, the coach, he's all yours.
Coach, what is the off-season plan now for the kids that are coming back to your program?
Off-season plans, we got to finish the academic semester strong, which ends around December 22nd. And then they'll have time to be on their own. The semester will start for them in the springs, the day after Martin Luther King Day, and they'll get right into winter workouts and winter conditioning, which will bring them right into spring football sometime in April, I would imagine.
Now, the kids that are leaving, do they get to go to the schools that will now pick them up once the second semester begins, or do they have to wait until the fall?
Great question. It all depends on some kids are going to be what's known as December outs. They'll be able to be enrolled at their 4-year school, and they'll participate at that 4-year institution spring football. If a kid is a summer outie, it's going to take him to the summer to get out, then he won't be there until fall camp begins. So every single kid has a unique circumstance, and every single kid will have a different reporting date, predicated on basically how good they do academically, how good they've done over the past 2 years with their graduation and making sure they solidify all the requirements needed to graduate. But that's how that works. The predicated on a kid's graduation date is when he can report to that 4-year institution. So we have a numerous amount of kids now. The official visit season has quote-unquote started, so we have a couple of kids going this weekend. A couple of kids went last weekend, so there will be about 35 kids taking visits over the next couple weeks to different schools around the country from every single conference, Division I, Division II. So that's the unique thing about college football. It's a revolving door. It's never ending. There's always something going on, and that's what we have in store for the sophomores that are leaving us.
And your responsibility will be to make sure that their academic transcripts go with them to wherever they end up going. How much of an involved process does that become?
Yeah, it's very involved. Every single kid has an academic plan, which we give them and sit down with them. And it all predicates like how they do academically. But every kid has an academic plan. It depends if they failed some classes, if they didn't do the right thing, or if they've done everything right. So, it's not an easy formula. I have numerous amount of guys on my staff to help me with that. So each kid now sits down during an exit interview and gets a map out of what's going on. We're in the process now of starting to get progress reports back on kids. So now it's the time to really tighten up academically. The practices are over, the team meetings are over. Now it's just about making sure you take care of your business in the classroom that affords you the opportunity to get to that 4-year school.
Do you have a person on your staff that actually checks to make sure the kids are going to class and how often they're going to class and what their grade situation might be as the season progresses?
Yes, we do. The athletic department puts out progress reports that we're just starting to get back, and then we also do checks, Coach Rizzo and Coach Sullivan, academically of our kids to make sure they're getting it done in the classroom.
Now, if the plan does change for a specific kid, does that also mean that where they could end up going changes, for better or for worse? And how do you adapt to that? How do you make sure that these kids eventually get the chance that they're looking for at a 4-year school?
Yeah, that's a great question. The first part of your question, most 4-year institutions, especially major college football, want kids to be a December out. It enables them to go into spring football and learn their system So you'll have the whole spring football, then they'll have camp, and there'll be some comfort level with regards to the schematics of what that institution's doing. If they're great top 10, top 15 kids in the country, if they get them there in fall and they think they can contribute right away, then it really doesn't matter. But you said a unique thing in part of your question. There is a legitimate chance that sometimes if kids don't take care of their academics, that a school, XYZ University, offers him with the understanding that he's going to be a June out. If he doesn't take care of his end of the bargain academically and he can't become a June out and he has to stay till the second summer session, that could be a situation where the institution can pull the NLI and say, hey, we needed you to be down here by a certain date, and that has happened. It has happened at our place. That's why we stress to our kids how important academics is. You know, the four-year schools want to come in, and they're going to do three things. First, they're going to, before they even put on the practice film, they're going to look at your academic transcripts. If that pans out, great. Then they're going to say, okay, what type of kid is he? Is he a problem in the community? Does he do the right thing in representing your program off the football field? If that checks out, then they'll put on the game film. And the great thing about that, I tell our kids, is you control all three aspects of those things. You control what you do in the classroom, you control how you conduct yourselves and representing our program off the field, and you sure as heck control what you do between the lines. So that's how we attack that.
How different is it for major college programs with their academic requirements?
How different is it than at JUCO?
Yeah.
Eligibility, and it's a simplistic formula. Eligibility-wise, at the junior college levels, you need to have passed 12 credits with a 2.0 for every semester you've been enrolled full time. So, for instance, the freshmen that we recruited this year, they need, starting next August to play for us, they'll need 24 credits with a 2.0. The same thing holds true at the NCAA level, except it's not a 2.0, it's a 2.5.
Okay.
So that's the only difference. And at the NCAA, you still need 12 for every time you've been enrolled full time. It's the ACUM that differs between the NCAA and the NJCA. One's a 2.5, one's a 2.0.
And how many calls do you get a week from the schools that are interested in your eventual sophomores in terms of keeping track of their grades and keeping track of what they're doing on and off the field to make sure that the initial decision that these schools made works out for them?
Numerous. I mean, it's never ending. I mean, Coach Rizzo helps us with our outgoing recruiting. All I can say is thank God for him. He's the one who does the transcripts and sends them out to the four-year schools. It is a relentless job that he does in regards to how many phone calls he takes, how many emails we send. I mean, every email I get, I forward to him. It is it's painstaking to a certain extent. I mean, you're talking about maybe 30 to 40 emails or phone calls a week just on what four-year schools want to know about your outgoing sophomores. You know, you create a prospectus with all your kids and project what level they can play at, how many credits is anticipated for them to graduate, what's their ACUM as regards to their GPA. So there's a lot of different unique things that go into it, and Coach Rizzo does a hell of a job with that, and thank God for him, because I wouldn't be able to put a game plan together or recruit our incoming athletes without him.
Now, how much conversation do the kids have with these schools, or is that something that they just have to stay away from? No,
obviously there's certain periods where four-year institutions can have contact periods, and there's some dead periods as well. On the prospectus, we give all our players all the colleges their cell phone numbers, and as long as they're within the bylaws of when the contact period, they can make one phone call every 10 days to a recruit, and especially the great ones. You know, we think we have a major league defensive tackle and our left tackle, and Trey Chavis and Pridgeon. I mean, the letters that come in and the phone calls that come in to speak to those kids is nothing short of extraordinary and cumbersome.
And is that something that you stay on top of to make sure that the calls are done correctly and when they can be done?
Yeah, I mean, I don't say every institution has their own compliance department, so they know the rules. You actually have to take a test at the 4-year level to start recruiting kids of when the dead periods are. I mean, you're talking about $1 billion business at major college football, so there's enough departments to make sure that the coaches who come in and recruit our kids are doing the right thing with regards to the bylaws of the NCAA. So I really, to answer your question, I really don't stay on top of it. That's done by the institution that's coming and representing and recruiting our kids. But I like to be in the loop, so to speak, just so I know what's going on and who's calling who and who's contacting who and when they're going on with visits. So just if a coach calls me, I know what to say to him.
Now, if by you being in the pipeline, you find out that a university maybe is stretching the rules a little bit, is that something that you step in and try and correct, or you allow other parties to do that instead?
No, I mean, that like I said, they're going to be policed by their own party. I mean, there's all the... John, it is so intricate with regards to, I mean, the cell phones, there's programs now, there's software that every time you talk to a kid, if there's a list created, you have to hand things to the NCAA. It is so intricate, like I said, with regards to the NCAA bylaws. That's what the compliance department does at the big-time major institutions. They have a 3, 4, 5, even 5-person staff in there that just makes sure that their coaches that are out on the road recruiting for their institution are following the guidelines needed by the NCAA bylaws. So I really don't have a lot. I really don't step in and say too much about that. They basically police themselves.
Now, what about the high school kids that will be coming to you and to your program when next year arrives? How much contact do you have with those kids to make sure that their transcripts and their situation is good enough to be a part of your school in the fall?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. The unique thing about recruiting at the JUCO level is you start a little bit at this time of year, but you really kick it into high gear after the signing date, because after the signing date of the first weekend in February, you start to have kids who were on the cusp of maybe making it or weren't sure if they were going to get the SAT, ACT, or the GPA to get that 4-year scholarship. And then you start to pound the pavement with regards to, hey, Coach, I have this kid that was supposed to go to Syracuse, let's just say, and he's not going to be able to qualify for it. I think you should get in on him. But I think there are certain people you talk to now that are in your inner circle that have contacts with individuals who we think are major college football players, but that are going to need to JUCO, and you start to pave the way a little bit for the 10 to 12 kids that you hear are like that. But the majority of the JUCO recruiting really starts after the signing day. I mean, you'll look at a ton of film and start to get a board together, but the majority of that stuff and contacts of that nature really start after the signing day. Because if you go and speak to a kid now and he's got 5 offers from Power 5 conferences, and you tell him that you're a JUCO, he ain't going to really want to hear about it right now. But after the signing day, if you say, hey, look, you didn't pass the NCAA clearinghouse, you don't have a choice but to go JUCO, that's when you really have to start getting in on, especially the great ones, because the great ones are going to have 5, 6, 7 of the top JUCOs in on them, and it becomes just like any other recruiting war.
Is it a way for your staff to keep abreast of who may be on that cusp, as you say, as opposed to those that truly are the untouchables that you know are going to be going to 4-year schools?
Yeah, I think all the recruiting services that you deal with on a year-to-year basis have some sort of idea. The high school coaches who, if you developed a legitimate relationship with, that can tell you, hey, look, this kid's definitely not going to make it. So there's a number of factors that go into it. But between the recruiting service, the relationships you have with high school coaches and how they think that their prospective player is going to make it or how close he is or is not, I think that's how you really start the niche into regards to early recruiting at the junior college level. Then, of course, like I said, after the signing date, it really takes off.
Now, here's the last question I have, Coach. What is the overall opinion that high school coaches have about JUCO football?
The overall opinion, I would think it differs by state, to be honest with you. I think some of them really don't have a clue of what junior college football is, at least at the big-time junior college level. I think some high school coaches think it's a Division III type deal. But you speak to some coaches that are in the know, and they really do a good job. Understand? Listen, junior college, depending on what program you're talking about now. I mean, you could have junior college programs that are Power 5 teams, and then you could have junior college programs that are like mid-majors, like Miami of Ohio or something like that, where it's a different thing. But I think if you go down to Texas, you go down to Kansas and the Jayhawk Conference and to the Mississippi Conference, you speak to those high school coaches, I mean, that's major college football. Up north, I don't know if that's the case, to be quite frank with you, but I think what we've done a great job in, especially in Nassau, is we were all about going and developing relationships with high school coaches in the area and to make sure, hey, look, this is what it takes, this is what the kid needs to do to be successful at Nassau Community College. We're looking for FBS or FCS type kids, and if you have those type of kids and you think that they're willing to work hard and they love football and want to be successful in the classroom, well, then we have a good spot for you. But if they're going to be lazy and not go to class and do things like that, because let's face it, if a kid's going to play junior college football, especially if it's an FBS or an FCS kid, he had to do something wrong academically or he was not a good test taker. So those two things, you know, like a red flag goes up that you have to make sure that they're willing to get a second chance and do the right thing in the classroom. And for the most part, you know, that's the case.
How difficult was it for you to establish relationships with high school coaches and at least give them the impression that going to your school was a good thing and not necessarily a bad thing?
I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it's going in and develop a relationship with the coach. I think if he knows that you have his kid's best interest at heart and that you're willing to do anything you possibly to make sure his kid's going to be successful, and that gets shown over time, because here's the thing. You can't go into a high school or into a kid's living room, speak to the parents, speak to the high school coach, tell them what they want to hear. The kid comes to your institution and winds up not doing a good job. That's going to trickle down. A coach ain't going to send you the kid again. So you got to make sure that you're doing the right thing by the kid. And I tell our coaches this. I say, look, if the kid's going to bust his ass, sweat, bleed for you on Saturday, you sure as heck better make sure you're doing the right thing by that kid Monday through Friday. So it's all about relationship, I guess, to answer your question, and knowing that you're and letting the high school coaches know and showing them and showing the kid that you recruited, hey, look, this isn't just about football. If you need something, if you need any help, either academically, whatever the case may be, that, you know, we're here for you, and we're looking to make sure that you're walking out of here with that piece of paper in your hand.
It does sound like you have developed those types of relationships with high school coaches. Where is the best area for you?
The best area for recruiting? Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. We recruited all over the country. So there's not one specific area that we can, you know, say, hey, this is the place where we're going to have to put our flag up and win the recruiting. You know, we were on the philosophy. We were under the philosophy that we had to just go out there and take the best kids and make sure they were the best fit for us within our program, no matter where they came from. So there wasn't one specific area. Yeah, I don't know, my throat just went dry for a second.
Yeah,
but there's not one specific area where we can say, hey, obviously you want to win in your home backyard. So you want to be able to take the best kids off the island, the best kids from upstate New York, and the best kids from the city. But the truth of the matter is, we can't just stay in this area and recruit every single kid from here. Like I said, if you're going to be a Power 5 team, like an Alabama, like an Ohio State, you need to go out and circumvent the country and find the best kids, because what our schedule dictates to us, like I said, we're going down and playing Texas, we're going down and playing Georgia, we're playing a national schedule. You got to recruit nationally as well.
Coach, it's been fun doing this with you. I have to admit, this has been quite an education. My lack of knowledge of JUCO football has certainly improved itself by doing this show with you. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
You got that right. You got that right, John. I was thinking, but by the way, the two of you gave me one hell of an education for the last few minutes. I really enjoyed that. Hey, Coach, you know what I wondered? I wonder, we talked about all the details that go into a football season, the kids and the fact that they leave and the turnover, the recruiting. I wonder, before we let you go this season, I wonder about the two things. First thing I have is the timetable, because we all know that, off-season, Coach, there's no such thing as an off-season. But my thing is, you have the football season starts, the football season ends. If you just take me quickly and our listeners through the timetable now, it is November. The season's over. Between now and spring training, same baseball, but spring practice, basically how it works in the JUCO system.
Yeah, sure. Like I said, right now, we would get in there next week and we'd start looking at some film and start reaching out to our contacts and recruiting services to find out who the major college football players are that are definitively not going to get the grade. And then start to get in contact with them, start to speak to the high school coaches, start to get them some literature in the mail explaining how successful Nassau is, so on and so forth. As you move forward and it starts to get closer to signing date, the word starts to get out either from their high school coaches or from the four-year institutions that are coming in to recruit your kids out of here. A coach might come in from the University of Indiana and say, hey, Joe, there's a kid in North Carolina that I just saw the other day that we love who thinks that can play at University of Indiana, but he's got no shot to pass the clearinghouse. Well, he goes on our board. And then what happens is you start to generate your recruiting board. And your recruiting board looks like, it's basically a board with every position under it, with the numbers 1 through 10 on it, and you start to put kids in there after you evaluate their film, and that's how you start to recruit the kids. If the number 1 recruit decides to go to X, Y, Z, then you start to get on the number 2 recruit, and that's how it works. And that takes you right up until the signing date, and then that's when the chaos begins, because now it becomes a jamboree for JUCOs, because now you're dealing with kids that undoubtedly know that they're no longer going to be a part or be able to play at Division I level. So now you start to revamp your board, if you will, and that leads you right up until spring football, and then you go into spring football, and then you start summer workouts, and then before you know it, you turn your clock, and summer camp begins, and then the vicious cycle starts all over again.
And Coach, we know that in football, no matter what level, and we'll close the show out here, Coach, with some news, of course, but I'll preface it with this. We know that no matter what level of football, it isn't just the development. The main thing, of course, is first the boys, when the youngsters, and then, of course, you'll get to the professional levels, and players move around. And the JUCO, you've educated us what happens, but at the same time, also, it is a learning ground for coaches. It is opportunity for coaches wherever they may be to be able to move elsewhere to get better, move up another level, go places, improve. It's about the family too. It's also about the family. And Coach, I believe it's our understanding, Coach, there may be some opportunities waiting for you out there.
Yeah, I stepped down the other day. I think it's been a great ride for me and my family. I spent 14 of my years coaching football at Nassau Community College, and I think there's going to be some opportunities that await me that are just can't miss things that I'd be foolish not to invest and not to look into. So I had stepped down on Monday. I spoke to the AD, Mike Bleach. I thanked him for giving me the opportunity to run the team the past 2.5 years, and I'm excited about some of the options I have. I have to sit down with my family. I have to sit down with all the parties involved before I make that decision, but it's going to be an exciting time for me and my family over the next couple of weeks to find out where I'll be coaching next year. And like I said, it's a couple of those opportunities that you just can't pass up that are once in a lifetime type deal. So that's what I'm looking forward to, and we'll just leave it at that.
Well, Coach, I'm going to end it this way. Like John said, this has been an absolute pleasure all season long talking with you, you educating us, because it was about your football team. It was about the football season. It was about the goals, the quest to make it to the end, in which you did. But also, as John has stated over and over, it's been an education for the two of us, as we both admittedly, as a whole bunch of people, and we're making sure, Coach, that the rest of the nation gets it more educated as time goes by about JUCO football, about the process there. More importantly, Coach, as you leave the season finale, the end of the Coach Osovet show, please always know, Coach, you thanked us several times, many times during the season. I, as the CEO of NGSC Sports, want to thank you, Coach, and Nassau Community College, because you also did something great for NGSC Sports. It's about growing, and NGSC Sports is growing itself, and we had the opportunity and were given and blessed with the opportunity to call these football games. I want to personally and professionally thank you for all the access, for the absolute joy that it's been to call these games. And always know this, Coach, as you leave here, NGSC Sports is always your home, Coach. Anytime you got something to say, anytime hey, Coach, you know what? If you just want to go live and scream, you tell me when, and we'll go live, man. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Coach Joe Osovet. We've been our pleasure all year long, Coach. The floor is yours. Thank you so much, Coach. Send it away, Coach.
Hey, listen, I just wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you, guys. It's been great. It's been unbelievable what you did for the Nassau Community College football program. You and John have been unbelievable. It was great doing this every week. Hopefully we shed some light on JUCO football, and people understand what it's all about to a certain extent right now. I can't thank you guys enough for giving me the platform to vent, if you will, and talk about some good times, and just thanks, and hopefully we made a lifelong friendship here, us three, and then we'll be speaking to each other. This won't be our last dance.
Thank you, Coach, very much. God bless you. Good luck to you, Coach. You earned it. That's for damn sure. Blessings to your family. Happy holiday seasons to you and all your loved ones. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the 2015 season with head football coach Joe Osovet, formerly now of Nassau Community College, headed to much greener pastures, and I do mean football field greener pastures. God bless, Coach. Thank you so much, Coach.
Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
John, say good night. Say good night, Gracie.
Good night, good.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was head football coach Joe Osovet. John, it's been a really good season with the coach. John, I should inform you live on the air that you do not have any other duties this evening.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Ladies and gentlemen, I should say that this evening, due to top secret circumstances, there will be no Draft Central this evening. So,
wow, top secret circumstances? Wow.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm going to tell the audience, John.
Oh.
But, ladies and gentlemen, of course, this has been the Coach Osovet Show. And, of course, as you've heard, my co-host, John Doucette. John, where can they find you?
I can find me at Radio Doucette. I seem to be spending more time there than I actually realize.
Yeah, folks, you don't understand. Twitter to John was a word he probably could spell at a moment's notice, but didn't understand what it was. And when he knew what it was, he still didn't understand what it was. But now, as you heard him, you can find him on Twitter at Radio Doucette, and the Twitter handle at Radio Doucette stays busy. Of course, if you want to find me on Twitter personally, that is at El Rafito 322. That is ELRAFITO 322 at El Rafito 322. And of course, you know the company handle. That is at NGSC Sports. Please remember us, ladies and gentlemen, as always, continue to go, log on, check it out. It's ngscsports.com. Current content shows. Everything's up there right now. Look, folks, I'll just go real quick to the site. Got a couple of new writers who've come into the family, knocking it out the ballpark already. Of course, G. Stelio, the heartthrob, gives you Beating Vegas, entry number 9. And a little news on the news front here. We'll do a verbal press release. It is the countdown to Sammy Sportface as he launches a Sammy Sportface ebook. Yes, John, you heard me correctly. Semi-fourth place. We have by the way, folks, we have a countdown. There's a countdown. John will see the countdown. If he didn't see it today, he'll see it tomorrow. There's a countdown on the site, counting down the days till Sammy Sport Face ebook. Also, that's right, John. I know you'll check it out, John. Also, folks, of course, our chief operating officer he wears a lot of hats too. And one of those is a writer, and of course you can find Kyle Nash's latest 2015 NFL Matchup Mania Week 10. We've got another piece right here. There's a little something happening in the AFC South, as we all know. The luck has temporarily run out in Indianapolis, as Andrew Luck has been sidelined with several injuries, and you can read up on it as Seth Moed brings you Andrew Luck is still great. That and so much more at ngscsports.com. On behalf of John Doucette, I'm your host, Ralph Garcia. This has been the season finale of the Coach Osovet Show. I want to thank all of you for joining us this evening, and remember, John and I come back on Friday. That would be at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Mountain, 4 o'clock Pacific, 3 o'clock somewhere, 2 o'clock somewhere before that, and yesterday too, and tomorrow, depending on where you are in the world. And that show, of course, is our NGSC Sports Weekly Baseball Show. And we call that one In the Batter's Box. As we say down south, we holla at y'all. Peace. Uh-oh. Now, folks, last week, John, we're still on the air, John. We're still on the air, John, because last week, folks, as you can see, I forgot to do this.